White Lives Matter. A lot of people cheered for Kanye, and a lot of people flipped out about this. So why do you think people were flipping out about White Lives Matter? I mean, don't White Lives Matter?
I mean, I don't know. This is at a fashion week. Is this supposed to be a fashion shirt? Because that seems super basic.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like they got a white version and a black version there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
So yeah, let's just briefly touch on, because this goes back a while. With you had Black Lives Matter, and then people would respond with All Lives Matter, and then the people who were saying Black Lives Matter get upset. Hey, you're saying All Lives Matter, and then but when you flip out over saying All Lives Matter, the other side goes, what? You're saying that all lives don't matter? What's going on here? So what are your thoughts on all this? And then I want to actually take a quick look at a Bible passage.
Well, I mean, I saw the Tucker Carlson interview, and he said, well, why do you say this? He's like, well, because they do. And it's like, okay, yeah, I mean, people are made in the image of God. So if we're made in the image of God, then it's true that all lives matter, but not the organization, but the actual phrase. You know, when you talk about Black Lives Matter, I think the best charitable reading of it is to say, hey, if we're concerned about things like police brutality in our communities, Black Lives Matter is supposed to be shining I'm saying in the most charitable reading, it's supposed to be shining a light on that problem. And so some people want to argue, they say, well, first of all, there's not a problem there. Second of all, it's maybe racist to point out one, but the idea is drawing attention to a particular problem. I'm not saying it's identical, but maybe if we said something like unborn lives matter, or we're not saying that other lives don't matter. It's just saying here's an area in society where we see this under threat or a problem. So, you know, I mean, I have a lot of stuff is a mixed bag, because the actual Black Lives Matter organization, I can't have any part of. You know, yeah. If you actually read what they say and things they've had on their website, they've taken some of the stuff down they've had on the official website.
Notice, if you say Black Lives Matter, you know, you would think, if you're just examining that without any context, if you believe Black Lives Matter, you'd say, oh, of course. And if someone were to say All Lives Matter or something like that, you would say, yeah, of course. And so the disputes around it have more to do with like the context of what's being said. And so let me just give an example with the Beatitudes here. So the Beatitudes, this is, hang on, someone's trying to call me here. The Beatitudes, and he lifted up his eyes on his disciples. This is from Luke. This is Jesus. And he lifted up his eyes on his disciples and said, "Blessed are you who are poor, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are you who are hungry now, for you shall be satisfied. Blessed are you who weep now, for you shall laugh. Blessed are you when people hate you, and when they exclude you, and revile you, and spurn your name as evil on account of the Son of Man. Rejoice in that day, and leap for joy, for behold, your reward is great in heaven. For so their fathers did to the prophets." Now, if you look, I mean, he's talking to some marginalized or groups that, you know, could be looked down on, or who would feel bad for various things, you know, if you're just feeling hungry or something like that. But notice, so blessed are you who are poor. Now, he's flipping things on their head, because normally you would think, oh, look how blessed this rich person is with this big house and plenty of money. This person is really blessed. The poor person, not blessed. I'm going to pray for the poor person to be blessed or something like that. And if you're hungry, you normally say, hey, this guy has plenty of food, plenty of stuff, plenty of money. But the hungry guy, we need to pray for him. And, if you're weeping, if you're persecuted, if you're excluded, if you're reviled, if you're spurned as evil for him, you think, hey, it's the opposite of the people who are described in this passage that a lot of people, especially back then, would think of as blessed. You're doing well, everything's going well for you, you're really blessed. And that's true. And Jesus said, no, actually, blessed are the poor. You're blessed. You're blessed in a different way, but you're blessed. Blessed are you who are hungry. But just imagine someone there. Jesus stands up and says, in a culture where someone who's very wealthy would have been viewed as blessed, and he says, blessed are you who are poor. Well, he's trying to say something. He's trying to make a point about poor people being blessed in a certain way. And now imagine a rich guy there going, we're blessed too. We're blessed too, Jesus. It's like, I'm trying to make a point here. Trying to make a point about poor people, and trying to alter people's thinking on issues like being poor, being hungry, or being persecuted or something like that. I'm trying to tell you in a very important way, you're blessed if you're in these situations. And someone could just like totally try to throw that off, but no, people who aren't crying are blessed too. People who are wealthy, people who have plenty of food, they're blessed too. It's like, we weren't arguing about it. I'm talking about these people who are like downtrodden over here. And so I kind of think of it like that. Like, if you say all lives matter or something, you're saying something that's true. But again, the organization aside, which is messed up, the slogan Black Lives Matter in response to issues involving police or whatever it gets pointed out as, you're trying to make a point there. You're not saying no lives matter apart from Black lives. And so, I wonder what Kanye was thinking with that. He said he was just stating, I said it because it's true. I mean, you could say all kinds of things are true. If you're putting something on a shirt and stepping out there's more to it than that. But so I get people who were frustrated at that because, again, for me, it would be like Jesus says, blessed are the poor, and someone says, blessed are the rich too, Jesus. Why aren't you talking about the rich? All people are blessed, Jesus. But what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, Kanye, it's funny. He says on one hand, years ago with, Austin Powers, remember Mike Myers during the Katrina victims when they're trying to raise money, and he goes, well, because George Bush doesn't care about black people. Remember he said that? Yeah,
and, right before we're going live, I was going to pull up some clips from his interview with Lex Friedman. And Lex actually brought that up and said, hey, in the same way you're saying that, then I could say you don't like Jewish people, you don't care about Jewish people because of the things you said.
Well, he said that years ago, and then he'll say stuff like that. But then he says slavery was a choice. He said that as well in an interview. Slavery sounds like a choice to me, like as if Africans chose to be enslaved because they didn't get free sooner. Seem to be so he can be all over the map. With some of these kinds of statements. And we applaud some of the good things he says because he's willing to go out on a limb, which a lot of these folks aren't. So when he attacks Planned Parenthood, and when he talks about the fact that abortion really destroys black lives, especially at a disproportionate rate to the rest of the population, that's a tragedy that does need to be exposed. And so we applaud that. But then there's this other stuff. So, yeah, it's like pray for Kanye, but man, you can't be so prideful, Kanye, that you can't listen to anybody. And then the people you do listen to, some of the information he seems to be getting is from Hebrew Israelites, which is not good.